Hey, everybody, welcome to an edition of the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I am your host, Dougie Almeida, coming to you from Simpsonville, South Carolina, where I'm blending in every day. We have been gone since November, and I apologize. Been very busy doing stand-up, amongst other things that you guys know in my personal life handling. But, missed the show. And, hey, we're going to try to do this as often as possible. And when we do it, we're going to get really special guests, not just flub guests, not just fill-in guests, hey, can we get, no, we're not going to get an open mic comic on here. We're going to get real talented people. And so if we bring it to you every few weeks, that's what you're going to get. Okay. Anyway, so thanks for being on the show. And our first show back, I'm real excited to have our guest today, who, by the way, I got to meet at the Comedy Cabana. We'll talk about that, working with him. And comedian, actor, which is always amazing when you meet comics who are actors, and you got to find out which is more important, acting or comedy. We'll talk about that. But here's a little clip. We'll show you some of my buddy Chris Roach, who's our guest today, some of his acting talents, and we'll run that.
You even have one can? Chuck, do we have any cranberry sauce?
You can't buy cranberry sauce on Thanksgiving.
That's what I said.
If you're not going to bother selling Thanksgiving stuff on Thanksgiving, why are you even open?
For people who want to get a jump on their Christmas shopping.
You can tell them we got plenty of candy canes.
I was about to. Look, if you're on break, then take your break, Chuck. We have candy canes.
Let's find a better store.
A lot of judgment coming from the guy who waited until the last minute to buy cranberry sauce.
Chris Roach, my friend. What's up, buddy?
Oh, sorry, I was taking a drink. Hey, what's going on? I hope I recently did an open mic. I hope that's okay.
Oh, yeah. No shit. That next guest. Who's the next guest? That's interesting. Let's start with that. As a comic, now you've been doing this. How long have you been doing comedy?
Just over 20 years.
Wow. So, a lot of times, like I go to a lot of open mics because I'm working on a lot of new material now. So, I love it. Plus, here in Greenville at the Comedy Zone, we got an amazing open mic, usually every Thursday. And I say it's amazing because we have like 20 to 50, 60 people show up, not comics.
That's a great open mic. And then not comics?
And they pay $15.
My God, that's great. It's gas money right there.
You know what I mean? And the thing, I always feel bad, when they somebody comes and pays for an open mic and the first four comics go up and do ass eating jokes. But what's cool about that is at the Comedy Zone, my buddy Brandon Rainwater is a well-known comic, pretty much runs it and orchestrates it. But they put the top 10 slots are for the best comics so that at least the people can get, a lot of the good stuff. And then if somebody lingers, then,
Is that in Jacksonville?
Well, there is a Comedy Zone in Jacksonville. We have one in my hometown here area of Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh, okay. I did the Jacksonville one a long time ago.
Yeah, that's a great room. That's one of their main rooms. That's one of their, I guess their A rooms. Yeah, I was there with, oh my God, it was so funny. I'm going to remember his name. He's a Republican comic, a conservative comic, Tyler Fish, very funny dude.
Okay. I see him I just talked to him on Instagram because I saw what he was going through with that lawsuit he's got going on.
Is that the one with the agent where they wouldn't hire they wouldn't work with white men?
And I said, bro, I know exactly how you feel. I said, well, not in the comedy area, but in the acting area. I had a very well-known casting director said to me, he goes, it's a tough time to be a white guy, especially a middle-aged white guy. He's like, you know what? And you just got to roll with the punches. You really can't say anything. Just, what are you going to do?
You think I kind of see things like that changing? No, I mean, we're starting to see this woke. That's one of the questions I'm going to talk to you about. That.
Yes. I see. The woke movement, I think it's starting to simmer down.
Do you think it's because people realize how stupid they look? I mean,
yeah, everybody jumps on board, and then all of a sudden, they're like, wait a second, we love guys like Dave Chappelle, and we love that. Everybody comedians. I say we always deal with trauma with humor, and I think just in life, people in general, just to have a little bit of that humor that even if you cross the line a little bit and come back, it's like everyone needs like that comic relief. And during that whole woke period, whatever you want to give it, I swear I would see people come to comedy clubs. It's like they were waiting to get offended. They were sitting there like this, say something, and all of a sudden you would say one thing, they would go, oh, I'm like, really?
Yeah. The favorite line I've heard, and I've heard a few comics use it. I think it's a great stock line at this point. But when somebody acts like that, they look at him and go, "Hey, lady, I didn't come to your living room to tell these jokes.
Yeah.
You came here to see me. You came to the show."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a great
Yes.
line. It's a great line. Have you
Um,
noticed? One of the things I noticed about that is that if somebody acts up like that, if somebody gets like perturbed, there's
right.
generally people in the audience that look at them and say, "Shut the fuck up." Like they don't.
I'm starting to see that now. Yeah, I'm starting to see that now. I feel my one buddy, one of my best friends, he's a comic from Ireland, Mick Thomas. During like the heat of the whole woke thing, he had a set at the Carolines on Broadway here, and there was people from CBS that come out to see him, and he had a great joke about he just became an American citizen. He goes, now that I'm an American citizen, I say, let's get rid of all these foreigners. It's a funny joke. It's funny.
Yeah,
And some guy up front goes, oh no, how could you say it? Like this guy made a big deal out of it, and meanwhile, this is his golden opportunity to shine in front of these network executives, and this one guy up front just like ruined the whole show, just destroyed he just caused like this tension in the room, and I was like, you just want to go up and smack the guy in the head and say, hey, it's not about you.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes,
We live in a narcissistic age, though, Chris. You know what I mean? I
oh,
think you know we have like the youth, and I kind of shared with you some personal stuff before the show, but the youth today. I mean, they are so it's just narcissism. I mean, look at everything that's happening on college campuses. How funny
yeah,
was it where people were on a hunger strike and they were complaining because the college didn't bring them food? I mean, it's
right,
so, you understand what a fucking hunger strike is, and
yeah,
these students from Columbia and Yale and these prestigious organizations, you look at them and they're fucking idiots. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how the hell is this
I always
possible?
say these are the kids that were the first kids that were put in timeout, and now they're all grown up.
Yeah,
It's the timeout generation. We were the kids that like got smacked in the back of the head by our parents. Uh, yeah, it's tough to watch. It really is sometimes, but hopefully that'll pass too.
one of the things you continue to see the trend is bringing bullying back. Whenever you see stuff like that, always hear we should bring bullying back. And when you think about it, aside from maybe the real, like getting stuffed in a locker, is it really that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's
it's really
character.
not that. Yeah, exactly. People really need to know. The problem nowadays is like I used to teach martial arts, and the parents sometimes were the problem because they're like, "Oh, why would
Oh,
you treat my son like that?" Because I said, your son's disruptive. Your son's in my class and
right,
he's disruptive. You know, well, that's not
right.
fair. I go, no, you're right. It's not fair to the rest of the kids who came here to learn, but your son is
Yes.
obviously here to for another purpose.
No, everybody's kid is perfect.
Yeah. You mentioned about open mics, so that's cool that you go there. And what is you? I mean, what do you hope to accomplish at an open mic?
Well, the open mic I go to, there's about anywhere from 10 to like 30 comics, and it's a wild bunch, and it's a tight group, and I guess I was missing some of that. When you start, you know, doing the road a lot, you miss some of that camaraderie, and so I go there, and it's fun to be with these up and coming comics, and a lot of them coming to me for advice, and it's also I get up and I always try like something new, like for the little 5 minutes here and there, which you don't really get to do unless now I'll try new stuff out at shows, and
Yeah,
if it doesn't work, like sometimes like, at a show you want to like give your A game, you don't want to be trying out new stuff, but I guess you got to just do it. You got to just do it.
yeah,
And but the open mics they're a lot of fun, and it kind of brings you back to the beginning. Like I remember in the beginning hitting these open mics, and they could be tough, and then all of us would go to the diner afterwards. It was
yeah.
really good time. Really good
Well,
times.
the camaraderie is awesome. Like I said, I think that's why you do it. Like like me. I'm widowed now. When I'm here in South Carolina, that's all I do. I don't like go out. What am I going to hang out with friends like that? Most of the comics here are young. So, but
Right.
that's what I do. I go to an open mic or I go out. Otherwise, I stay home.
Yeah.
What else am I going to do? And it's funny you mentioned that people ask you advice, which I'm curious about. So, there's two schools of thought on this, because when people ask me for my advice, because that happens, especially here in Greenville, there's a lot of newer comics. So when I'm there after the show, they'll always come up and say, "Hey, what'd you think? What do you think?"
Right.
Now, are you are you somebody who's honest, or you pat them on the back? What kind of advice does Chris Roach give the open mic comic?
I guess if they're doing 5 minutes, I'll try to focus on something positive out of the 5 minutes. There's always that, what is that technique I learned in management training? The Oreo technique, where you give them something positive, then the negative, and then positive. Yeah.
Sandwich it in.
But I guess,
well, you started okay, then you sucked, and then you finished. So that was,
yeah, it's tough. And, sometimes people comics will say, "Hey, can I send you my set and you watch it for me?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to watch. I don't even like watching my own set. I don't want to watch."
I know. It's horrible. My buddy Tom Emmons, local comic here. It's so funny. I remember one time a comic came up to us after, I'm like, "What do you think?" I'm like, I was honest. You could tell the comic was like, "Oh my God." Like they were so dejected, and I'm honest. I'm going to give them honest. I usually say, "Now, do you want me to fluff you up, or do you want me to be honest with you?"
You know what? I love that, because that's the kind of people I was looking for. There was one of my mentors, Carrie Carabas. She was brutal, but that's how I grew up on tough love, and I responded to that. And for some reason, I can't give that kind of feedback. I'm too nice, I guess. But when I'm looking for feedback, that's what I want. Like you,
Yeah.
I want just, you have to have thick skin in this business, and just hit me with it. Just hit me with it.
Yeah.
And she would hit me.
And you're right. You get, like, the first thing I heard a lot of people, "Oh, you're great, doing great." And one guy says to me one time from Miami, a comic, he goes, "You got a lot to learn." And I was like,
Right.
"Okay, thanks."
Right.
So one of the things I recently saw on Instagram, Chris Roach, that's your Instagram, is what's your Instagram handle?
At Roach Comic.
At Roach Comic. Very funny. Sometimes the best thing about comedy is simplicity, right? Like sometimes you try to write that magical, amazing joke, and then sometimes jokes are just saying things that are funny. And but tell us a little bit about this segment you put out, which I mentioned the first time I saw it. I go, "Genius." I think I mentioned in the post, but I go, it's another episode of Man Chewing Gum.
Man Chewing Gum. I'll tell you how it started. I was at a pool supply store sitting in my car out front, and my wife was inside buying chemicals for the pool. And this was probably 2 years ago, and I was getting frustrated with social media. I'm like, "Oh, come on." It used to be, if you were funny, they found you and you got booked on your reputation. This guy's funny, book him. And now it's all followers, and it doesn't matter if you're funny anymore. It's about followers and putting butts in the seats, which, it was always putting butts in the seats, but now it's just like, they don't care if you're funny or not. And so I was getting aggravated about the social media. So I remember I was sitting there chewing gum, and I just went live on Instagram. I'm like, "Hey, guy, how you doing? This is Man Chewing Gum, episode 1. This is all I do. I chew gum, right? Chew gum. Waiting outside for my wife to get chemicals, chewing gum." And I did it for like 7 minutes. And then I was in my doctor's office. I'm like, "I'm going to do it again." I'm like, "How you doing? It's episode 2, Man Chewing Gum." Sitting in my doctor's office. I did like 3 of them, and I let it go. And then I was performing at Gotham, Gotham in New York City. And I get off stage, and I remember it was a tall Indian kid, and he stands up and he says something. You get off stage, the audience is clapping, and he stands up and he says something in my ear. I'm like, "I'm sorry, what did you say?" He goes, "When is episode 4 of Man Chewing Gum coming out?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
That's like great.
Are you kidding me? And then I'm like, you know what? Sometimes, but then I got to be careful. I tend to complicate things with the editing, and like sometimes it's like the most ridiculous. I was talking to Tim Dillon about this. You could put all this effort into like a project, a video editing, sound effects, and you didn't get the response you wanted to, but all of a sudden you go, "Hey, I'm at Home Depot. Look at this stupid thing." All of a sudden, 500,000 views. It's like you never know. You never know. And I think with Man Chewing Gum, like, am I getting a little too crazy with the editing? But I'm enjoying it. And I'm starting to run out of ideas. So I think I may just like start doing some Long Island history and driving around to like Rodney Dangerfield's house and whatever. I don't know. Sometimes these ideas come to me. Like I was just filming an episode. The next episode is going to be me feeding my dogs and how much it goes into feeding them and the measuring of the proteins and stuff like that and how they eat better than I do.
Yeah, I think the real stuff, like I started doing, like I think it was I was I was in Ohio, and I bought some new coffee. So I said, hey everybody, I want to give you my opinions on the new Dunkin' Donuts blue muffin coffee. That's a lot better than their blue waffle flavor, and shit
Right.
like that, the blue waffles. And it's like, but you think, and that was a little, but I think that stuff, like you said, like I did the same thing when I had my morning coffee. Here's my morning ritual. I have a little bit of this, a crematory, whatever it is, not crematory, whatever the creamer is. It's Italian cream, and oh look, I got Snickers. But that kind of shit, it's amazing. And you're right. You something you'll see. Here's what amazes me. I just recently, you can watch, you can put out a great video, okay, get a couple thousand views, whatever, and then you see some schlep put out a video that is fucking horrible. Like well, did this person even look at it before they posted it? And then all of a sudden you look down and they got like 30,000
Yes.
views. And
It's
I'm like,
the less you think. You know what? It's like the less you think, the better it is. For some reason, I'm friends with the owners here of the Governor's Comedy Club on Long Island. There's 3 of them, and the guy, the owner Jimmy, said, it was Tuesday night. They sold the club out for the social media guy. He goes, and my wife and I are sitting in the back, and my wife looks at me and goes, "What is this crap?" Because they know stand-up comedy. They know what stand-up comedy is. It's about hitting them, making them laugh, and people are coming out to see these social media. It's like they don't realize that they're getting an inferior product. They just like, hey, there's the guy that makes the faces. Let's go get a picture with him. And it's like, but we have to adapt. It's tough. I think it's tougher like I consider myself to be introverted. If you're an introvert, it's really tough to be like the people that are doing well. I noticed are on there like 2-3 times a day, just saying whatever comes to the top of their minds. And I don't know. Plus, it helps to be young and good looking too.
yeah, well, I think it was one time I put some videos out and I was like, why did this one video get so much? And I realized it was my hair. Like I just had that morning hair. And like when people saw that little thing on the video that comes up and they're like, oh my God, they have to all click on it. They all check it out, because your hair looks like fucking Einstein,
Right. I guess, there's a couple of segments that I was doing that were getting good traction. I think I just got to go back to that. And I was talking to I guess you'd say a millennial fan about this. And she told me, she's like, it's all about consistency. And yeah, it's about, if I do man chewing gum, I should put at least 1 a week out and it's a consistency. And sometimes it's like, it's not easy. It's not easy. And one of my friends, she sells out theaters and she just has conversations with the audience. She became popular on TikTok. Her name is Lisa Marie Riley, and she's killing it. And she told me, she's like, stop with the editing, just put the stuff out. And she puts out like 3 or 4 videos a day. She's, Italian. She's got the Brooklyn accent, and she's just killing it. And a good person too, which always helps when you see that, they're good people.
Deserving.
Deserving. She started it. She started the page. Her husband was dying of cancer, and she started the page to pretty much entertain him, make him laugh. And that's how she got her fan base. And he had passed away, I think, like a year ago. And I know she was a big Kevin James fan. So I said, listen, I'm opening for Kevin on Long Island. Why don't you take her right out and I'll introduce you. And I got to introduce her to Kevin, which was a lot of fun.
A lot of people, here's the interesting thing about Kevin James. I can't tell you, Kevin James is one of the 3 people that most people say I look like when they see me on stage.
Yeah.
You look like Kevin James?
Yeah, maybe because we're like, are you physical? I'm not that physical on stage. I worked with you, but it was been like a while ago.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I move a little bit around, but I'm not like,
I'm physical.
Yeah. It's like him. I've also been told, obviously, I look like Ron Jeremy. That was
Yes.
times, Michael Madsen in my better looking days from Reservoir
Oh,
Dogs,
yeah.
and
I
Jackie
can see
Gleason one time. Jackie
that.
Gleason one.
Yeah, the roundish face.
Yeah,
Jackie Gleason is that's one of my number one, my comedy heroes. I would say Jackie Gleason and Rodney Dangerfield are my 1 and 2.
I love Rodney. I just love, like I mentioned, I put a post out the other day because there's a photo of him in the comedy club in Greenville, and I try to
Right.
like mock his face and stuff, And fucking Rodney's one of the reasons I did comedy. I mean,
Me too.
yeah, just fucking.
And
That's what people tell me on stage. They say your timing, you remind me of Rodney, the way you tell jokes. I'm like, oh, that's always a great
yeah,
compliment.
great timing. In fact, I'm going tonight at 7:15. I have a spot in New York City at Rodney's, which used to be Dangerfield's, and they closed down for like a couple of years during COVID, I guess, and they reopened it up as Rodney's.
It's
So I haven't
exciting.
been.
Have you? You haven't. I was going to ask you, have been there yet? Yeah.
No, I haven't been there, but it looks like they redid the whole place. And the place, I mean, before they closed, that place they didn't change a stitch of anything. And when you walked in, you felt like you walked into like a museum. It was like the same curtains, the same tables, the same lampshades. Everything was the same. And when you see pictures on the wall from Rodney in the 80s, taking pictures with people, and you're like, this is the paneling right here he was standing against. Everything was the same.
It was. That was always talking. The funny thing about Dangerfields is I got passed there in November of 2019.
Oh,
Tony passed me, through my buddy Steve Marshall, who helped me get in there.
Marshall's great. He helped me out when I first started a lot.
Yeah, and I got passed, and of course they closed like 8 months later.
Isn't that great?
Right? But yeah, I mean, you're right. That place never, like, I remember the first time I went there, I'm like, this is like from the show, because Rodney used to film the show there, right? When he did his HBO specials. Which that was a great thing I loved about him. He brought so many people to the comedy limelight. That was one of the things I admired.
Yes, I love comedians and even actors that they take their friends and they help them out.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. Since we're on that, I was going to bring up one of the questions here on that. Let me ask you, but who would you put on the comedy Mount Rushmore?
Oh, that's right. The comedy route, my comedy Mount Rushmore. Does it have to be stand-up comedians, or could it be just comedic actors too?
It's your list, so.
All right, it's my list. So I'm going to put my influences. There's going to be Jackie Gleason, Rodney, Benny Hill. You know what? Who else? I'll have to put Kevin up there. Kevin has been a big influence over me. Kevin James, and maybe maybe Brian Regan.
Great comic,
Great comic, yeah.
Yeah, I think my comedy Mount Rushmore would be Carlin.
Well, of course,
Rodney,
yeah.
Richard Pryor.
Yes.
Right.
If I stuck to just comedians, there definitely, of course, Carlin would be on there, but those are my influences that affected me as growing up. But who else you got? So you got Pryor, Carlin,
Rodney.
You need two more.
Oh my God, I don't know if I would. I wonder if I put Robin Williams on there. I said Pryor.
God. Another one. Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's that's the thing. You think about it but like you said, I think about the people. Like I saw Carlin 7 times live over a couple decades, and I always tell people I loved him, but in the later days he became really political and stuff, and it was more like preaching than it was comedy to me. But we still loved it. Sam Kinison. Here's another one. That. Can you? I mean, there's no other. Like you think of the one thing I love about when I think about comics that are really like truly there was no other Sam Kinison. You know what I mean? There was no. Right. I mean, there was nobody like him. You could say some comics that are great have similar ways and similar like voices but he was like one of those guys.
These were characters. They were characters. It's like think I heard Steve Marshall talking about this one time. Is like there's a lot of comedians out there, but back in the day, they were characters. You know, Rodney with the tie, and they were just characters. Yeah. Now
Henny
you
Youngman
know,
with the violin, right? Yeah, take my wife, please. You know, I mean,
now we have an ocean of talking heads.
yeah, it's all different. Let me ask you, tell what's your what's your favorite part about being a stand-up comic?
Um, you know, sometimes I get down on myself in this business because we're in a business of there's a lot of rejection, and you try not to compare yourself to other people's careers because that can easily send you spiraling. Um, and every once in a while, I'm reminded why I do this. And my first show, I made a room full of friends and family laugh hysterically. And my second show was in front of strangers, and I bombed terribly. And I said to myself, I want to make strangers laugh like I did my family and friends. And it took a while. But recently, after a show I did, a woman came up to me, and you can see the tears in her eyes. She goes, I needed that so bad. Thank you. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
those
great.
moments, people, yeah, where people come up to you and you're like, you can make them forget about their lives for like 45 minutes, whatever it is. And you see it in their face how bad they must be going through stuff that I can't even comprehend. And they come up to you, and you can see they really, really mean it. Like, thank you. My God, I needed
Yeah,
that. Or I haven't laughed that hard, and I can't even tell you how long. Or one of my favorites is, I peed.
yeah, exactly. That is a great feeling because that recently happened a couple times. Like, you don't know how bad I needed to have these laughs. I'm so, you know what I mean? So it's enriching, definitely.
Yeah. Mind you, you know what? You're like, this is why I'm doing it. You know, I'm not going to be, I may not be an Andrew Schultz, who I'm a big fan of, watching that kid just just make his own path, which is amazing. But that's him. That's not going to be me. I got to find my own path and stay on my own path.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely. Um, where's your favorite place to perform?
I love the blue collar rooms. I love the comedy club here at McGuire's by my house. I love, wow, um, the comic strip in New York City is a great workout room. That's one of my favorites. Any room, you know, comedy is like, it's so delicate. And everybody thinks they can put on a comedy show when they see you at a comedy club. Hey, come down to my corporate dinner, whatever. But it's so delicate where you need the lighting, the stage, the good sound system, good staff that knows what they're doing. It takes a team, it takes a village, as they say.
Mm,
But I'm trying to think outside. I'm trying to think outside of New York. There is the Stress Factory. Oh, Soul Joel. Did you ever hear of
yeah,
Soul Joel?
yeah,
Soul
yeah,
Joel is like the man who I think saved comedy during the pandemic, at least on the East Coast. He
yeah,
got a big dome and filled it with beach sand and had people come out with their lawn chairs, and we were doing shows outside. And then him and his family, they bought this big compound with a hall and an inside comedy club, and he's got the outside comedy club. That's my favorite place. That is just like, it's like he's got like a lot of big names coming there, so he's got the capacity to handle large name comedians in like this big hall. He's got a historic hall where presidents used to come back in like the 40s, and you know, for the fundraisers. And he's got like a small inside club. He's got a restaurant. It's just a great. That's one of my favorite, and that's in Pennsylvania. And
yeah.
those crowds.
I introduced him a couple times, and like you said, especially during the pandemic, he had like the outside. He like kept
I
things going outside venues, and
think
definitely,
even before he's got this big, you know, those big domes where you see like uh, sanitation departments, whatever, they put all their sand before the snow comes. It's like this gigantic dome. It's like just a big shell. It's like a big shell.
yeah,
Um, But before that, I remember the first show I did after like not doing comedy for almost 2 years. He started doing shows in this parking lot of a bank where people would bring their lawn chairs. And I remember being up there with a microphone and turning to my left and seeing Joel and going, Joel, what other jokes do I have? Because I forgot. He was throwing up. He goes, do the vacation bit. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, so I went on vacation with my family. You know, that's it's a great place.
That was funny when you did, like, I remember the first time I did stand up, I think it was like 2 months, 3 months not doing it, from like March. I think the last show I had was in early March until like May or June or something. I remember I had to go on YouTube to watch a video, like my videos, like, oh, let me remember what the hell I even talked about. You know,
Yeah.
it was really crazy. What's the worst gig? Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, so I'll get into the worst gig, but one other show was I had to do it because it was so unusual. On Long Island here, Queens, Suffolk County, Nassau, they were doing these pop-up drive-ins where they would put up these screens and people pulling their cars. They would drive in movies. They were popping up all over the place in restaurants. Yeah. There was one in Queens, and everybody sat in their cars, and we were piped into their sound system. And when you said something funny, they flickered their lights at you.
Or honked their horn and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. But oh my God, I remember one of the worst. One of the worst was I was a couple of years in, and they asked me to, a booker friend of mine goes, I mean, for the comics, we're going to do a show for the troops at Fort Dix, which I believe is an army base in New Jersey. And as I'm driving there, in my head, I'm thinking it must be like a Bob Hope type thing. They're all in their fatigues. So one of the worst gigs I did was in Fort Dix, New Jersey, which is an army base. And a buddy of mine who was booking comedy shows, I was 3 years in, and he asked me to go with him. And on the way there, I'm picturing like a Bob Hope-ish kind of show where everybody's in their fatigues, sit down in like a very neat fashion. Some guys on the side taking one knee, and we get there, and I think they were about to be deployed for Iraq. This is, you got to figure, like 18 years ago. And they were all in their like civilian clothes, men and women, and they were partying. And there was about 200 of them in like a gymnasium type setting. And the worst thing about comedy, I'm sure you know, Doug, you've been there, comedy does not work as a surprise. In fact, some of my worst shows, and anyway, all of a sudden the DJ, they're dancing, they're drinking, all of a sudden, all right, everybody take a seat. Stop having fun and talking to your friends. It's time for comedy. It's like,
yeah.
And there was a group of like 40 guys in the back corner chanting in unison, "You suck."
Oh God.
Like, oh my God. So that was bad. But anytime, I was just mentioning this before, how delicate comedy is. Somebody saw me close a show here at a fundraiser at Governor's, and it's my home crowd. It's a comedy club. I'm hitting them. I'm doing great. She sees me. She's like, I gotta have you do my company Christmas party. And I'm like, sure. These corporate gigs, they pay good. I show up to this catering hall. She meets me outside. She goes, oh my God, this is gonna be so great. They don't even know you're here. I was like, no.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so bad. It was similar to Fort Dix, except for nobody said you sucked, but it was just death. And there was one guy in the back who was like laughing at our setups just to be obnoxious. It was just so bad. It was so bad. So anytime comedy, I just did one this past Christmas where I said to the guy, it was a corporate show. And I said, do they know I'm coming? He goes, yes, they know you're coming. And I watched the first guy go up and how bad they were reacting to him. I said to him, they don't know we're here. They didn't know comedy was coming.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to do 30 minutes. I did like 8 minutes and said, guys, I'm so sorry to bother you. Go back to eating and talking to your friends. And I went to leave. The guy still paid me. I'm like, dude, he's like, do you hate me? I'm like, you told me they knew comedy was going to be here. I said, I've been doing this long enough when I could tell this audience had no idea comedy was coming, and they hated me, and they were mostly men.
Yeah. Corporate gigs, as well as they pay, I joke, I have 20,000 shares of Amazon. I don't need a corporate gig. They're really tough because there's no real humor there. no one wants to laugh at certain jokes in front of their coworkers. It's just not a
Yeah.
good fucking.
And plus, if they're looking for the boss to laugh,
Yeah.
I opened up for Kevin. I opened up for Kevin for a company out here called 84 Lumber. Big money.
Mhm.
And that was like that was tough. I mean, we got through it. It was like, they set it up like a comedy show because they have big money. And that was tough. But we survived it, But I remember looking at Kevin. I think even he was like, "Oh God."
Yeah, no joke, man, no joke at all. Yeah, the corporate gigs are just.
Corporate gigs are
I
tough. They
love.
pay great.
Yeah, I love when they tell you, "Hey, do whatever you want." You're like, no. It's not. It's
No,
not. It's not the way this is gonna
there's
work.
always in comedy, like, people will tell you you'll get there, and sometimes the booker will say, "Be clean." And I found out when I go to shows and I'm like squeaky clean, and then all of a sudden people are coming up to me, like the people that ran the organization. We felt like you were holding back. I'm like, the
Yeah,
booker told me.
exactly.
The booker told me to be clean. They were like, no, we wanted you to
Yeah.
go off. So now you have to ask, when they say clean, you show up like, all right, the booker told me to be clean. Now, do you want Disney clean, or can I say F? Or maybe, they're like, all right, you can say maybe like 2 F bombs. You got to be, it's very specific when they say clean.
Yeah, I love when they give you a number of F bombs you can say. That's like,
Yes.
listen, if it's one, it could be 5. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not like somebody goes, oh, wait a minute, he said fuck 5 times. I'm offended now.
Yeah. You
You
can say
know,
4 fucks, 3 shits, and that's it.
people don't realize that when people say clean comedy, that is not as descriptive, because, like you said, there's family clean.
Yes.
There's comedy club clean. There's Mormon clean. Like there's can you do it on TV clean?
Like
So
some
many
of them,
different things.
they say clean, they just mean, don't talk about, banging some girl in the butt or something like that. That's what they mean.
Yeah, and it's always funny when you tell a newer comic that, and they're always like, you can always see that look on their face, like, can I tell my dick joke? It's
What did I just say?
yeah,
You know what?
exactly.
Tell the dick joke and let's see how it goes over. Or
Yeah.
there are times I've done shows where, as the closing the show, you look at the guys before you and he said shit. I'm like, all right, they laughed when he said shit, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's always good to follow somebody because they said it. I've had somebody said that to me before. I've been at one of the, supposedly these corporate gigs, and I do a joke that all Richards are dicks. And the guy after the show is like, man, I was worried, but after you told that joke, I was fine with whatever I was going to say.
I remember that joke. That's right.
Here's a question. Would you get in a Robo-Taxi with no driver?
I think I would.
Yeah.
I think I would. Do you know what? I don't know if you notice in this, Doug, that sometimes when I have shows, let's say you have a show where you have like a 3-4 hour drive and you're just trying to make a living as a stand-up comedian. And then like a week or 2 later, you get a letter in the mail, you speeding ticket, or these, it's killing me. It's killing me. I got one the other day. I was doing 41 and a 30. It was a school zone. It was 30 miles an hour, 41 mile. And it was like 1:30 in the morning. Like nobody's at school.
Yeah.
And there's nobody to fight. So yeah, let's say you made $500 from the gig. Now you got to pay $50. It's like, come on, man. It's like, just trying to make a living here. And now I do is like when I drive around, I leave my GPS on the Waze app, even if I know where I'm going, because they'll tell you when there's red light cameras or like a speeding camera.
I agree with you 100%. Keep the navigation on, because you never know when a traffic jam, especially if you're on the road going somewhere, even if you know where you're going. Yeah.
But Robo-Taxi, I think I would get in it. I'd be a little scared at first.
Uh-oh. No,
Way back.
Back. Here you go. There you go. You got to tell your wife to stop driving around the neighborhood.
What are you doing?
All right, here's what we're going to do. I had a few more questions, but we're going to be running out of time soon. So I'm going to go over our next segment, which is Did You Hear? These are some stories that we somehow find humor in. And it's just everyday people with everyday stories. Okay. Our first story is police search for man who punched actor Steve Buscemi in Manhattan. If you know this fella? He punched Steve Buscemi in the face.
Yeah, what is
Recognize that?
this?
Yeah, he was just walking, and this fella, figured I wish I was
He
in
looked pretty,
Broadwalk. I wish I started in Boardwalk, and he did, and he
yeah.
fucking
He probably auditioned for Boardwalk Empire.
he
I
did
was
get the job. Buscemi, he gets a lot of heat. He was also in Sopranos, right? He played Tony's brother, right? Wasn't he his brother? Cousin. Yeah.
Cousin. But what's going on with this? Wasn't there another actor that was punched? What's his name? The actor that was punched like less than a year ago.
Yeah.
The one from Ghost, Rick Moranis.
Yes.
Now
I'd want to punch. I'd want to punch Rick Moranis. I don't like Rick.
But I'm looking at that picture. That guy looks pretty fit, man.
Yeah.
I would check all the local gyms.
Yeah, exactly. It's just amazing when you see shit like that happen. But just hell up and punch somebody. But we hope
he doesn't look like a homeless person or something. He looks like he came from a gym, so maybe it was personal. Who knows?
Yeah, it looks like he didn't get his boxing workout, and he said, "Let me just punch Steve Buscemi in the face." Yeah. Next story: mother-child get trapped inside a porta-potty after man knocks it over. I mean,
God.
First of all, this is one of the reasons I really would rather hold it than ever go into a porta-potty.
Porta-potties are disgusting. Yeah, I always bury my nose in my shirt. I don't think I've ever gone into a porta-potty sober.
Exactly.
Right?
It's usually after visiting the beer dispensary. And then the story that they were covered in feces, and can you? That kid's never going to forget that. The kid's never going to forget that.
No, and even that. Oh God. Oh.
That smell is never going to go away. Did you ever smell something so bad that it gets in your nostrils and you still smell it for days? Isn't that the weirdest thing?
Elizabeth, New Jersey. Yes.
Fucking Jersey. What's that old joke? Jersey, the only place where somebody farts in the car, you roll the window up. Right?
Because it's once you get Northern Jersey on 95, there's the town of Elizabeth. There's factories or something over there, and there's always a smell that it's in your nostrils. I'm and I joke when I go to New Jersey. I'm like, do you ever smell something so bad you have to pull over and rinse out your mouth? It's just
it's fucking horrible, dude. It's horrible. Now this is funny. Now you were talking about YouTubers and people on social media that get spots on comedy shows because they have no talent, but they can fill the seats. Here's a great story. YouTuber runs over a pedestrian while streaming under the influence. And I think, Ben, we have a video of the actual occurrence.
Let's hear those voices. They're not fake, but I wonder
Oops. Was that a speed bump?
Oh my God, are you okay? No.
You hit me, bitch.
I didn't see her.
Why are you not looking?
I was looking. I didn't see you.
What the fuck?
She's invisible.
I'm telling you, I did not see you.
Okay, Ann?
Well, I was there, so.
Just tell me how I can help.
Get out of the car, stupid.
What was he saying? How can I help? So she was under the influence?
She was high on weed.
God, that's this social media, man. Everybody thinks they're I don't know. Everybody thinks they're
Could you imagine? How can I help? Can I make a post about this?
You can back up and hit me again, roll over me again.
Yeah. Exactly. How about bringing me your phone so I have evidence?
How can I help?
How can I help? Just don't back up, stupid. That's amazing. See, that's denial. See, the thing about narcissists, and again, another narcissist, right? Yeah, look at me on the video. Narcissists, it's so funny. They'll claim certain things, and then when you turn and when you point out the obvious, they turn into victims. All right, oh, I didn't see her. Well, if you didn't have your fucking head up your ass, you may have seen her.
Right.
Like it just dismisses the whole moment. You ran somebody over, you hit somebody, and all you have to say is, "I didn't see her." Was she
I didn't see
invisible?
you. It sounded like she went over her, like not like boom boom.
Yeah.
Was this woman like? Was she like laying with her legs? I want to know what it looked like on the outside. Was she
Well,
laying down? Was she?
prior to the accident, the woman had wore a size 8 dress. Now she wears a size 4. She's got a smaller midriff.
Midriff.
Nearly $40,000 in cash found in restrooms of Maryville's businesses. Don't know why, but cash is all over the place. Makes you want
Somebody
to take a piss.
Somebody spreading cash all over the bathrooms.
Listen, I've run out of toilet paper, but I don't know if I've ever used bills to wipe my ass.
Damn.
Did you ever been on the road and have to pull over somewhere and take a shit? Do you ever have like a moment where you had to pull over and just completely?
Now I keep extra underwear in my car. I had an incident. Let's just say I was on antibiotics, and I had an incident that now I keep in the back of my car. There's extra underwear, extra socks. You know.
I think you should keep a roll of toilet paper in the car. Like I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, driving to Arizona. You have a drive across the plain. It's like 7.5-hour drive, of which there's a few hours no civilization. And I kept thinking, man, if I have to take a shit, I'm going to end up squatting out here, probably having to use, like you said, probably have to use my underwear, leave it there for some poor pedestrian to walk by, and out here in the desert, And I'm just amazed how some people piss in like a Gatorade bottle when they're driving. I'm just,
I can't do that. I'm like, it's going to pop out and squirt all over the place. I've seen people do that, or heard people do that with friends of mine when they're driving. I'm like, really? I just, I've got really good at.
I was gonna say, for some reason, when I'm driving, my penis isn't like sticking all the way out, and for some reason, when I'm driving, my dick is scared of my driving. Like he's like
a frightened turtle.
Exactly. I don't think the width of the Gatorade bottle matters. I think I need an extender, like a funnel, to kind of get through this.
I found a great way to pee out in public. Sometimes I'll open my driver's door, I'll whip it out, and I'll just start peeing, but I'll act like I'm looking at something on like the molding on the roof. I'm like, what's going on here? But I'm peeing. Or another thing I do. You could, like, if it's late at night, you're pumping gas, just pull it out and pee right on the side of your car, like you're pumping gas. You're putting gas in your car and you're peeing at the same time, like.
Oh yeah, I used to tell a joke like there were people that would pull over and pee on the side of the road, and there are people that would pull over and act like they're changing their tire.
Yeah.
Here's a great. Speaking of old pussy. 85-year-old victim alleges prostitute carjacked him after sex. The woman was arrested, Palm Beach Sheriff Office.
So a 82-year-old man
85.
85 says that a prostitute carjacked him after having sex.
Yeah, he admitted that he solicited her for sex. God bless the guy. 85 years old.
85.
Yeah.
We should all be lucky.
Well, it's good to know he's using his Social Security payments for good use.
Yeah.
Nothing better when the government's paying for pussy.
You had to pay for your sex. Wow. 85 years old. And then she took his car. You know what? You won't be needing this much longer.
Yeah, exactly. I can't believe the guy's. Listen, if you can fuck, you can drive at 85. And our last story. All right. Milan poised to ban ice cream, pizza, and more after midnight after new proposed law. Nothing better than a late night snack. I mean, I'm on a diet now, but that's when I get hungry for that kind of shit.
What's their reasoning for health reasons?
Yeah, too many fat fucks in Milan now.
There's too many.
For tranquility.
Tranquility. I need that stuff to fall.
Let's see here. This is excuse me. Milan is proposing a new law to ban ice cream after midnight in an effort to protect the tranquility of residents. for many, late night gelato is a part of Italian culture. The Italian.
Mink.
But minga, mangia, minga. But this, eat dick, I think I just said in Italian, eat dick. But this is danger under a new law being introduced by the city. Legislative started paper has been filed by the city's local government as if passed, it could see late night ice cream banned as of next month.
This is people would have to have too much time on their hands. You're worried about ice cream. I don't know. It's not like it's a bar where people like getting drunk and falling all over the streets. They're just getting ice cream. They're stoned.
Yeah, not the problem. The people eat the ice cream, then they drive it home, but can't make it. Then they shit on the side of the road, leave it a dirty underwear.
They're titled the lactose intolerant.
That's the problem with Milan.
Milan and their lactose intolerant people.
All right. Well, this is the part of the show where we call it Let's Associate. My friend Chris Roach, fellow comedian and actor. We all know the association game. I say up, somebody says down. But in this game, you cannot just say, you don't have to just say a word. You can say a memory or the first thought or whatever it is you want to say after I say this word or phrase. Are you ready, Chris?
Ready.
Okay. The first word is tolerance.
Tolerance. Ice cream.
What's that favorite line in Cheech and Chong? Come on, ass cheeks, stay together.
Yes. Is you write one word, or just say like a story to it?
Well, you could like tolerance, like it's just whatever. Tolerance. I'm intolerant. I don't tolerate, anything that comes to mind.
I'm lactose intolerant. I actually have I got my bag I take with me everywhere. I have lactate in there.
Oh, there you go. Very nice. Our next word expression is wannabe.
Wannabe. Oh boy. There's a lot of wannabe comedians out there that are selling out comedy clubs, and people go to see them because they don't know any better. Wannabe.
Yeah.
I'm not
not at all. I hear you, though. All right. Next word or phrase is first kiss.
First kiss. Oh, backseat of a car. Oh, yeah. Those were the days. The cop comes, flashes the light in the window, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "We were necking." And he said, "Well, put your neck back in your pants and get out of here."
I remember the first girl who tried to stick her tongue down my throat. I don't think she knew what she was doing, but she knew more than I knew because I never had a tongue in my mouth. But I just remember her kissing me like this, like,
yeah,
it was beautiful. My first kiss. Yeah, she's a lizard person. Her favorite movie was V. Nothing I hate more than when
you're online to pay for something. You finally get up to pay for it, and then there's what I call assholes, the people that come around and the person help you. Hi, can you tell me where I can get this? I'm like, excuse me, they're helping me now. You want to get in line with your question? They cut to the front of the line. They ask them. Yeah, and then he's got to like stop what he's doing and explain to her. Go there, I'm like, get online, wait your turn.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate when I'm trying to get something done. Somebody comes up, big, I'm vocal about that. I'm like, hey, do you mind fucking waiting? Like, you know what I mean? I don't put up with that shit. I'm pretty vocal. And lastly, the most memorable high school moment.
My most memorable high school moment. Oh yeah, we were playing floor hockey, and they separated us into teams, and we would play like say up to a score of 10, and they did like a bracket, and it was like through the course of like a whole week, and it came down to me, my team, and another team, and it was like we did like penalty shots, and I scored the winning goal. It was 10th grade, and that was a great moment.
Yeah, moments in history with Chris Roach, everybody.
I scored the overtime goal.
I thought you were going to say you were playing high school hockey against Gretzky, and you checked.
I wish. I love Florida. I was trying to find out. Mike Myers from Wayne's World, he had, or I don't know if he still does, before COVID, he had a floor hockey league in New York City, but it was like invite only. And Sean Avery, who used to play for the New York Rangers, told me about it, where it was like you didn't. They remember the hockey sticks in school. They were like those cheap sticks that were like 4 feet long. It's like everybody like just you had to play with one of those sticks. And he said Sean told me there was like network executives. It was invite only. Mike Myers league. I was trying to get into that league. I don't know where it was. Trying to get in there.
That's when you run. That's when you run around those skates. You're just playing on like a gym floor with a ball and like you said,
like a ball, that orange ball, that little orange hollow puck.
Yeah. And the sticks, like you said, they're long, and then they had that plastic like edge, like the plastic.
Yeah, it was
just
the plastic blade that you put on the wood shaft. It was one of those. Yeah. Back in the day.
Exactly. My old girlfriend used to always ask me to put the plastic piece on the wood shaft.
Yes.
Well, that's all we have time for here on the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I'm so glad that we came back after months of hiatus here, and our first guest, of course, being Chris Roach. Chris, where could our followers and listeners and viewers follow you and find out more about you?
Well, you can on Instagram, it's @RoachComic. I also have a website, chrisroachlive.com. You can follow me on there and find out where I'm going to be next.
There you go, everybody. Chris Roach. Find him out there. Very funny actor, very funny comic, and hope to see you again on the road, my friend. We'll talk soon.
You too, brother.
As for me, I'm going to be at the Plano House of Comedy this Friday night, recording a XM satellite radio album for World Series of Comedy. So if you're in Plano, Texas, be out there this Friday night. And I'm probably going to visit Hyenas in Dallas on the Late Show 10. Aaron Berg is a comic that's going to be headlining there. If you happen to be in Dallas, Texas, Aaron Berg will be at the Hyenas Comedy Club in Dallas, Texas. For more dates, go to DougieAlmeida.com. You can follow me at Dougie Dangerous on Instagram. Actually, I've changed this stuff, but I'm going to let you know, but I can no longer do Funny Fiduciary. My compliance people said, nope, can't post this. So on Twitter, you can find me at Dougie Danger. Dougie, I think it's Dougy Danger, something shit like that. We'll get it all straightened out. But Instagram's the big place. But thanks again, guys. God bless. And I'll be back. Our next show will be with our show favorite, my buddy, Mr. Steve Mudflat McGrew, will be joining us in a few weeks. Stay tuned. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and at X at Wake Up Dougie and on Instagram at the Wake Up Late with Dougie Show. God bless all. Take care, and we'll see you next time.